Well, they say it's not a collection until you own three. Well, I guess this means that now I have a collection. So what do we have here? This is obviously another horn, third horn that I own. At first glance, it almost looks like a rough K horn or maybe some sort of weird Leslie thing, but it's neither of those things. In fact, this is not even an American locomotive horn. This is from Australia. This is a Roy Victor Butler 6320-007, a three chime horn. RVB refers to these as, we look at the tag right there, as a hurricane horn. So why did I get this horn? Well, I saw it on eBay, and the gentleman who was selling it for a very reasonable price, and I've always had a bit of a knack for these RVB horns. They're very, very unusual sounding. They're also incredibly finicky. I have had to open this horn up multiple times to get it to work, and a little test I did just now with it sounds like I'm going to have to open it up again at some point. But this horn probably came off of a multiple unit of some sort in Australia, and I'll go over that after the sound clip. But this horn was mostly used by the Victorian Railways in Australia. Really interesting construction on these things, pardon the shadows, but we have here is aluminum power chambers bolted on with steel nuts and washers. Then we have, I believe, the flared ends of the bells are copper, and then this bottom section of these two bells is made of brass, I believe. And did they weld them together? No, they soldered them together. So, as many videos of RVB horns will explain, the most common issue is that the solder would disintegrate and this part of the bell would fall off, which would change the sound of the horn. Now, in regards to the sound of the horn, this horn is not advertised as sounding certain notes like Nathan's or Leslie's. This horn is measured, its sound output is measured, note card for notes, is measured in hertz. So the longest bell is 420 hertz. The bell right there is 520 hertz. And then the shortest bell all the way over there is 600 hertz. So you musically inclined people can go ahead and decode that, because I don't know exactly what that means in musical notes. However, I will say that when this horn does sound as it's intended, it's actually kind of pretty. One thing that is not pretty about this horn is it tails. I did hook this horn up to my larger air system that includes a 30-foot section of air line between the valve and the horn. And one thing that these horns are known for is just this horrific sounding tail. And when you put 30 feet of airline between the horn and the valve, it really tails quite dramatically. So, without any further ado, enjoy the voice of the Victorian Railways. That's what this horn was used on predominantly in Australia. You can still hear them in Australia a little bit. They're used on the Metro Coming EMU sets that they have there in Australia, as well as some of the T-class locomotives still have them, and the restored Red Rattler set that they have running around in Sydney is equipped with RVB 3 chimes. So go ahead and enjoy. Once again, echoing off the hills. I did record the sound clip at night. I'm recording this after I recorded the sound clip, and the echoes were pretty good. So enjoy, and we'll dive into a little bit more information after the sound clip. So there you have it. Now, if that is not an unusual sounding horn, then I don't know what is. But I absolutely love it, and you could hear that tail at the end when I closed the valve. One interesting fact is that these horns were advertised as air sirens, actually. I believe I read a piece of literature that advertised them as air sirens. I have the horn, I've flipped it over and shown it, now it's upside down, and you can see that there's a lot of dirt and junk inside the bells. That stuff is purely cosmetic. It's not actually in the power chambers. I've cleaned out the power chambers. But that's what leads me to believe that this horn was probably mounted upside down underneath something, making me believe it probably came off an EMU of some sort. Maybe one of the Sydney Hitachi sets? Who knows? One interesting thing about this horn that I do want to note is that despite its size, this horn is actually incredibly small. I have my little, what is this, a 4x6 sheet of paper. And you can see just how small this horn really is. It is incredibly small. In fact, the longest bell on it is probably about the same size as the number 4 bell on my P3. So yeah, a very small horn. Also, the mounting foot of the horn is different than American horns, so probably not going to take this to a museum and mount it on one of their locomotives without some sort of weird adapter or modification. However, the air inlet is still 1/2 inch NPT, which is very, very convenient. So there you go. A Roy Victor Butler horn. One of, as far as I'm aware, this is the only one on the west coast of the United States. I know there's a couple other RVB Three chimes floating around here in America, but not too many at all. And I am very, very honored to have this. Now, my next thing that I want to get a hold of in terms of RVBs is a 5 chime. Those are incredibly difficult to come by, and as far as I'm aware, there's only 2 of them in collectors' hands here in the States, but I'm not sure. I would love to get my hands on an RVB 5 chime, so if anybody has any contacts who can get me one, let me know. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the sound of the Roy Victor Butler 6320-007, newer style RVB 3 chime. Alright guys, thanks for watching, keep honking, and I'll see you trackside.